And the reason why he's here today, and don't listen to that, Bill, because it's a secret. The real reason why he's here maybe. But I asked him, I said, if we want to retain your services, how are we going to do this? Expecting that the answer would be, well, I'm going to send you my 10-page retainer full of clauses that are one-sided, of course, in my favor, and you sign this and I'm all yours for a small fee. He's American. You would expect that. So I'm there, I say, oh yeah, how do we do this? Well, he said, the email that I sent you? Yeah. Well, the 2 lines that are there? Yeah. That's it. Okay. And if you want me to sign something, well, just send it to me and I'll sign it and return it to you. So, whoa. And then he added, well, I actually do what I preach. So I said, yeah, that's the guy I want to come and talk to us about this thing, because he's actually doing it. And think of Bill as, say, my mother. He is here to tell us things that we may not want to hear, that we need to be open-minded about, and at the end, we'll be better for what we need to do with facing the challenges.
Why are we here? You have heard it twice already. We are here to have a different kind of conversation. For me to present some things to provoke you into a new kind of conversation where you among yourselves ask yourselves, what can we do so that we can use simplicity as a competitive advantage? Simplicity is about power. It is not an initiative. It isn't even really a value, although it's one of your 5 values. We need to deal with simplicity on the terms that it exists. Simplicity is about a power struggle. Those that are in power have things made simple for them. Those that are not in power have things made not so simple for them. The most critical question I'm going to ask you to consider throughout the day is simpler for whom? That's the most important question I can ask you to think about today. For example, when Apple did the iPod and iTunes structure, think about it, they upset the entire recording industry. They took the engineering of what it took to build an entire infrastructure for an entire industry and made it simple as point and click. The engineers absorbed the complexity. The thing about simplicity we all need to recognize, complexity will never go away. It will always get more and more and more. The world is becoming more and more complex and interconnected. The only choice you have is where will you address complexity? Who will you assign it to deal with? They took the complexity inside their organization and they spit out something that was very, very simple for consumers. Instant revenue stream. You need to decide where is it worth your effort to absorb the complexity? Overall, consistently, the executives, well, I don't have time for that full-day workshop. Can you fit it into for a half hour to an hour? Oh, I don't have time for the full 100-page report. Can you give me the one-page summary? Oh, I know all my workforce has to go through all this training, but I don't. I'm a very busy man. I don't have time for all these meetings. Just have one of your executives come and give me this summary, would you? Am I joking or is that real? Overall, and I want you to know, we're going to, by the way, the worst is yet to come. I'm going to go over your engagement scores in a minute. The workforce knows that they are working to make things simpler for you. Think of all the reports you send down, the strategic planning. How many months did all hundreds and thousands of people have to work to feed data up to you so you could focus on 3 pages? Everybody who works for you are very smart. And they know, when it comes to simplicity, they know who matters. They know who doesn't matter. Tough love, life's tough, get a helmet, deal with it, let's move on. Real data, real data. My job is not to be in front of you as a leadership advocate. My job is to, how many thousands of employees do we have total? 4,000? My job is to be the proxy for them. And why I can tell you unequivocally that your work tools suck is because most everything that you design for them is corporate-centered. It's designed to make the institution, and your efficiency, you are very proud of this. Your efficiency ranking is getting better and better. Why? Because everything you design is around making the entity, the institution, more efficient, not several thousand individuals. That's the difference, corporate-centered versus user-centered. Now, I'm not advocating anarchy. I'm not saying destroy your performance management. I'm talking about balance. You do need the tools and structures you need. I'm not questioning that. What I am asking you to do is use a different lens. How many of you have ever really looked at your performance management system from the end user's perspective of who is getting evaluated? How many of you have looked at all the efficiencies that you're so proud of? How many of you have spent any time at all looking at everything from the retail branch manager's perspective, from the customer's perspective, the client's perspective? It's not about anarchy. It's about understanding that every single person who uses your infrastructure is getting highly frustrated. And that has a great and grave impact on what's going on right now. There is no tracking of the cost of internal complexity that is forced upon the workforce. I can tell you right now, the way you are doing things is costing you 35 to 75% loss in productivity just because you're not as easy to use as what I can get on the outside world. The point is not whether or not you agree with me. The real point is, what does that make you think about as far as simplicity, which is your number 2 value? What are you thinking about right now that you weren't thinking about before we walked in here?
I think one of the things we've realized is that as much as we try and simplify processes and things within the institution, a lot of that simplification is focused on us. And how often do we really ask, is what we're doing simplifying it for the customer? We're supposed to be 100% customer focused. Without our customers, we don't exist. But I'm not sure that everything we do, or anything that we do that we think simplifies life, actually simplifies life or translates to the client. And I think we all sort of came to that conclusion.
Who owns this problem? I'm sorry, maybe it's because I'm getting old and I have my ears are plugged up. Who owns this problem? All of us in the whole bank, but specifically, who has the power of decision-making, the power of budget, the power of structure, the power of infrastructure? Simplicity is about power. When we point at someone else, there are always three fingers pointing back at us. Who has the power to change this? This is the challenge we're facing. Yes, across thousands of employees, we need to create the culture. We need to create the empowerment. We need to create the change. But the actual infrastructure, the power to change that is mostly in this room. The power to change the policies is mostly in this room. The power to change the processes is mostly in this room. So what I need you to remember, I want to go back to that original question, simpler for whom? Now, I'm a realist and a pragmatist. You do have regulations, a very regulated industry. The government is all over you. You do have to make sure that there's no more meltdowns like we've had in the last few years. I understand the need for the risk aversion. I understand the need for security. I understand the need for strict processes. I am not in any way saying abandon those. What I am asking you to do is to take a new lens through everything. And when you examine everything, ask the question, simpler for whom? I hope that I packed as much value in as I could in the shortest amount of time for you. Thank you very much.